Hey guys, welcome to Chief Concerns, the 2021 Conference Championship Edition. We're here with Jason Dunn. We got kind of a new look this week. Eric won't be with us this week, but he'll be with us next week as we brace for a Super Bowl, little Super Bowl show next week. So we got the Dunn and Dash show this week. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. Doing well. So I'm it's a little chilly out this way, but everything's doing well. So
yeah, I believe up in Northern Virginia we're gonna get a snowstorm next week, or they say snowstorm, but who knows? It's Thursday night, so who knows what's gonna be on Monday? But they say snowstorm. So, but snowstorm for us around here is 2 inches.
Yeah.
Well, they'll close down the entire state for over those 2 inches.
Wow, that's now I'm surprised by that, especially up there. It wouldn't seem like they do it, especially in the north. It seemed like you would just get snow all the time. So why would they, shut it down?
Yeah, in recent years, I guess with climate change, I'm thinking maybe that's the reason why we're not getting as much snow. I know last year that I think we had one snowfall, and it was pretty weak. But the thing is, around here, being outside of DC, you got that they always close the schools for like whether it's an inch or two. They deal with a lot of like congressmen, senators, kids, so that they don't want to have any deal with any lawsuits.
Let me say this first, Marcus, and the reason I know Eric is not on the show tonight, as you know, is because he had a personal tragedy in his family, and just want to let him know, and everybody out here too, that we've been praying for him, and that they'll be able to get through this. That God's got him, and hopefully he'll be blessed through this time, and with the peace that they need during this time. But just wanted to tell E-Man they love him, and everybody too. Just send your love and prayers out to him and his family.
Yeah, we love you, Eric. And tonight I wore my my Eric Warfield jersey to honor you, buddy. So yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, just kind of keep on that. I don't mean to keep on the somber note, but also today the NFL lost one of the patriarchs of the modern day NFL in the last 20 years, General Manager Ted Thompson of the Packers. He passed away at 69. I'm not really sure on the how he passed away, but just that's one guy who kind of changed the last the newer generation of football in the last 20 years. He was the guy who traded Brett Favre when no one thought that could be done. He drafted Aaron Rodgers. And I was just reading before we got on the show that on his last week on the job, he extended Devontae Adams' contract. He was an undrafted free agent. And he also extended fifth-round pick Corey Linsley. And then that same week, he also signed Robert Tonyan, tight end, who to their practice squad. And now look at the guy. But did you ever have any run-ins with Ted Thompson from Green Bay?
No. And what I had to say is, just the history of just Green Bay in itself. But you look at the coaching tree. So I was pretty much kind of under that whole tutelage of the coaching tree of Gruden and Reed, Ray Rhodes. So like all these guys that coached there with Green Bay during the time, just learn that whole history and just having like part of that, I don't know that magic, something that brought it out.
Right.
But all those guys just kind of understanding like what the Packers meant throughout the years. So I got that part of it because you could just see how all the guys, how they acted, how they coached, and a lot of that came through, being up there with with the Packers. So that coaching tree, that is man, is everything. It really is. I mean, you're talking about a illustrious career of coaches in the career.
Yeah. And as far as Ted Thompson goes, I mean, obviously you could speak to that whole Green Bay coaching tree and stuff, and just that whole tree over there they had. But yeah, I was reading some stuff on him when it came to draft time. He has draft boards going into the draft, and every time he would get questioned on a guy he drafted or signed, he would tell colleagues and reporters, "Trust the board. You got to trust the board."
Yo, that's it.
God
bless it. God bless it.
Yep. Yeah. Prayers and blessings go out to his family. But to to get into football this past week. What were your initial thoughts from this past weekend?
Ooh, man. Oh, my goodness. Let me see. Where do I start? Well, I tell you what, when the game kind of started out like I thought it would, in Kansas City being hot, moving the chains. And I knew that, because of what they do offensively, that I don't care what team that comes up against them, they're just not going to be able to stop them. And so, they move the ball down the field, rather easily, against the Browns. And so, the pass rush wasn't as dynamic as I thought it would be. Didn't really, cause a lot of difference. But you see the creativity offensively, what they were doing. And that just goes to show you, man, like, look, these guys, man, they're on a whole different level as far as like offensively than everybody else. I mean, they really are. And so that in itself was something that just jumped out to me, of course. And then, defense. I think the defense did a tremendous job, kind of covering, Chubbs and Kareem, for a time. So they did a wonderful job. And I think, I know things change, of course, when, Patrick got hurt. And that you could see like the air kind of go out of the stadium a little bit. It was just like, man, we just lost, our general pretty much for the game. And everybody just kind of wondered. And I remember I got up, I was like, oh my gosh, man, this guy's hurt. It looked like he hit his head on the turf when he brought him down. And somebody said, no, what happened? They called it something like a different type of concussion, maybe where he kind of snapped his neck or something of that nature. That I don't know what it was, but they were saying that there was kind of a weird thing how it happened. But I'll tell you what, man, look, thank God for Chad getting the reps last week coming into the game. Yep. That was probably the most important aspect for things to come to fruition this week, because then he got in the game and he was ready. He was just like, look, I got a good game under my belt, able to get the entire game, and then kind of come in and settle in for this game as well. Even though it was a playoff game, but he got to play last week. So it was just like, okay, I'm not really coming in just rusty. Yeah. Like I kind of got up, knock some of that rust off of me and come in and just win the game. Now, I will say this, okay? Such an errant throw in the end zone when he threw the interception. I'm just like, man, where was he throwing to, right? What was going on? So some of those things that jump out like that mistake in itself, for one, because you could have just ran the football a little bit. I mean, down at almost the field goal range, kick the field goal, just play, just manage the game. That's all you need to do, manage the game. And then two.
That was like 1st and 20 also.
Yeah, it was 1st and 20. So, just get a couple yards. Yeah. Look, let the field goal kicker come in. Then they need to go down and score, right? So you put it on the defense. So that was one part of it I had an issue with. The number two, we'll kind of talk about this as well, was just running Patrick again on the option.
Yeah,
I would have never done that. So that's my takes for this week of the game.
So there's two things I did want to ask you about. So an element of the game, which if you looking back, that I think we won the game because of Daniel Sorensen's hit at the 1 yard line, which caused what's his name, Rashard Higgins, to fumble the ball out of the end zone. Now, people online, whether it wasn't just Browns fans, but a lot of people were saying that's a horrible rule. The fact that when an offensive player fumbles the ball and it goes into the end zone, it's the defense's ball. They say that's not fair at all. So a lot of people were saying that. And as an offensive guy, I'm just curious what is your thoughts on that rule, and what's players usually kind of response to that touchback rule?
I get it. I do get it, that aspect of it. Me and my brother kind of have this debate all the time. And so, rules are rules, right? And I don't care if something's going to happen with any rule that somebody's just not going to like. it's just that's just the nature of the beast, right? It's like, oh man, this rule, I mean, it exists, right? They put it in for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it was unfortunate for them, but I mean, thank God it happened, for us. And so that part of it is especially when you're reaching out. And I've seen him; he's reaching out. Brady put the ball over, didn't quite get there, and it's just like that little misstep right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle. I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? I mean, seriously. So, I mean, that's the rule in itself. I mean, nobody likes it. I mean, obviously, if it happened to me offensively, I'd be, up in arms about it. Like, oh man, this is crazy. It's just a terrible rule. But if it works in our favor, like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad the rule exists, right? So, I mean, that's the part of it, man. But I will say this, man. Just for Sorensen to come in and the timing of it, man, was spectacular. And that was so key. Because sometimes you see guys, and this happens a lot, sometimes defensive guys kind of just give it up. When they see that they're almost in there, it's almost like, oh, I'm just going to let him score, right? Not get the penalty. But for him to run straight through the guy and dislodge the ball, I mean, it just tells me, man, he's been playing lights out football. He really has.
Yeah.
I've been so impressed with him this entire year. And that right there, that play in itself was just another example of him just playing at a high level. So, I mean, man, it was just a great play by him. I'll put it that way. It was a better play by him to go in, make the tackle, before he got the score, and to dislodge the ball. So, hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I saw people say, that's the worst rule in football. And I was like, I don't know if that's the worst rule. I would say the worst rule is not overtime being sudden death. That's what I think the worst rule in football is. I mean, there's a lot of bad rules, but I think that one's worse than touchback on a fumble at the 1 yard line. And I think someone was saying that Belichick actually has a rule to never extend the ball. He tells his players to never extend the ball into the end zone for stuff like that. So if Coach Belichick, he's coaching his players not to do that, just go out of bounds to the one instead of trying to extend it. And listen to the genius. Listen to the mad genius.
Yeah, no, look, that makes sense because I see guys, running backs too when they try to go over top of the pile and they extend it. You see the defender always swatting at the ball.
Yeah.
So that in itself is like, hey man, just get over, tuck it, have it up underneath here. That way you can at least secure it.
Right.
Know that you have it, as opposed to putting it out here. Now you're giving the defender a chance to get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I mean, shoot, if you're thinking about it, look, don't leave anything up to chance. Don't put it in the hands of these refs to make a decision when you don't need to, right? So.
Yeah. And also another thing was on that same play, people are saying his hit was illegal, that they should be able to challenge that. I watched it multiple times. I don't think he made contact helmet to helmet. That was shoulder. I mean, he let in that way. What did you see on that?
Well, the way I seen it was, it was kind of like, inadvertently hitting him with the helmet. He caught him kind of like in that area, at least the helmet and shoulder pad. But he's going down, and he's just trying to make the tackle.
Right.
So it's just like, look, it wasn't like I was trying to target him. It wasn't anything intentional. He just happened to come down at the same level I'm coming down. I'm just making the tackle. So that, to me, I see where they was just like, look, you know what? That it just kind of happened that way. It wasn't like he was necessarily going there trying to hit him in the helmet. It wasn't necessarily targeting and helmet to helmet in itself. But I love it because it wasn't necessarily reviewable too, right?
Right.
So that's how these things go.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Listen, before the season in training camp, and I don't know if people know this, but we have the referees come in. They come and talk to the team about the new rules. And they kind of go through everything, every aspect, and we ask them every question we could possibly ask them in every scenario. We're like, hey, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? And so they come and do a wonderful job just explaining every rule, to the absolute 10th degree of everything, and just so precise about what they do and, these scenarios that come up. So guys know this. And like you said, if Belichick said, look, don't reach out with the ball. because we already been told that if you do this and the ball goes in the end zone, then guess what? Then all of a sudden they get the football. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to, let's take it out of their hands. Let's not do that. So, look, these guys know these rules coming up. I know the fans don't, understand that, but every single year, it's always that referee meeting with the teams, and they come in and explain every new rule to everybody. Mm-hmm. And just like, look, don't act like you don't know what's going on. I'm explaining it to you right now.
Right.
So, but I have to say, in my estimation, I think the worst rule, to be honest with you, is like when a quarterback's kind of in his own end zone and throws the ball away and gets to safety. And that one, because it's like, look, you anticipating the guy to make the tackle in the end zone. He may not.
Right.
Quarterback can escape, or if he's back there, I think it's a horrible rule.
Well, I think to that, like for the people who are out there saying, "Oh, that's a bad rule," that's not a new rule. I mean, so when I was playing Pop Warner, when you were playing Pop Warner, that's a football rule. I mean, when I was thinking, people were like, "Oh, they need to get rid of that." It's like, what? You can't get rid of that rule. That's football.
Right. Yeah. It just when it affects you, now it's time to get rid of it. So
yeah. It's just funny too. People seeing like the swords and tackles, a dirty play. I think Cleveland Browns fans, it must be Cleveland Brown fans. They went to change.org and they want Daniel Sorensen suspended for that hit. It's also like you play. I mean, obviously you played for many years, and even when I was growing up, like in high school, and I graduated 2012. In practice, when we were offense versus defense, when you ear hold somebody, where it was on a crackback, or I mean that wasn't even that bad. It wasn't even an ear hole, and you can't even do that anymore. Which is that was always a fun hit. I love the ear hole on somebody.
Listen, I'm telling you, okay. Time that I played for 12 years. The way they was able to tee off on us, tight ends and wide receivers coming over the middle. I mean, now, it's absolutely, I want to say, offense guys' game as far as getting hit. Because I used to get, teeth dislodged and stuff. Oh my God. I mean, they used to just absolutely just come and catch you up underneath the chin. Mm-hmm. And it was just a great hit, right? Now you was a highlight. That's how it happened. You was a highlight. But now, man, protect the guys, and it's a great thing. But yeah, the way they used to tee off on us, geez.
Especially you too. You were a big dude. I mean, you saw Jason Dunn on the field, no matter where you were. You knew where you were, so I'm sure they would, go extra hard because you were a bigger guy than most.
Yeah, it's true. I remember getting tackled one time by Ray Lewis and them, man, in Baltimore, and I swear it felt like the whole defense hit me. For real. And they kind of held me up, and I remember somebody like, hold him up. I was like, I'm trying to, dunk down. Brutal, man. That's football, though. It's football.
That's hilarious. Okay, so we mentioned Patrick Mahomes and the option. He scored an option play earlier on in the game, but then later on, was it third and short? Was it 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2? Another option play comes, and he gets hit, concussed, or they haven't ruled it's a concussion, so we don't know what he has. If it's a pinched nerve in his neck, but the bottom line was he failed the question. They gave him 5 questions, and he missed 1 question on Sunday. That's why he didn't get put back in the game, and that's why he was on protocol, which is a report from Carrington Harrison. So what did you think of that play and that situation, and what do you think about his overall injury, and do you think he'll play this weekend?
The play in itself, I think it was a bad play, a bad call. And I know Andy and Eric both know it too. Anytime you put your quarterback, your most valuable player, in a position to get hurt, especially like, run the option, which I wouldn't even say like he's an option quarterback. I wouldn't even put it in the hands for him running that play. We already ran it once, and it, it worked. So, you know what? You got 200 other plays that you could run in the playbook. And I know Andy was beating himself up because he's like, hey, God, like, why did I call that? And so I know everybody was probably thinking that. But I had to say, don't ever put your quarterback in that position, especially him. I mean, he's vital to the team. I mean, how he goes, the whole team goes. We've seen that. We've seen exactly, what ended up happening. Almost cost us the game. Potentially, I'll say that. But right. The guys, they held it down. So, what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But 31, this is what I'm talking about, having a running game. I've been talking about it pretty much all year.
Yep.
You got to have that back. To at least get 1 yard. You could fall forward for 1 yard. I mean, this is the time that you tell everybody, look, all right, roll your backs up, okay? Put your cleats in the ground, come off the football, and just win at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Just win. And so, you just got to do it. And it's a will. It's something inside of you as a football player. It's just saying, like, I just got to get this guy for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let me just win this battle right now for this. So, as you can tell, I'm just kind of infuriated because, I'm just, it was like my forte is just blocking. I mean, we just took so much pride into that, like that short yardage and whatnot, just pounding for like that 1 yard, 1 yard. So I think it was a bad play. We put him in a position that he didn't need to necessarily be in. The injury in itself, I know you had to go into the protocol. And so, I look at it like this. If you had brought him back, how much controversy would have been to bring him back to try to win the game? And you just couldn't do it. You just really couldn't, because ultimately, as bad as it is, and that situation puts us in dire need, we're talking about longevity. We're talking about his career. And that's the most important part of it. So, and this is what you have a team for. You rely on those guys. And those guys had his back. And so making that decision at the time, like, listen, you know what? Look, we got to leave. But also, too, it's important that we have Patrick for, the long haul here in Kansas City. That's the most important thing. And his health is without a doubt, what everybody is worried about. So, look, the guys were able to go ahead and get the win. He's recovering like he should. So everything it kind of worked out. It worked well, but we can't put a guy in any type of jeopardy that would shorten his career, just for the benefit of one game. Let's just be honest here. So we're talking about CTEs and things that's going on with guys right now, and we don't want anything like that to happen. So we want him around for a long time, him to be in a position, to help Kansas City, potentially win more Super Bowls. So that was the most important thing. They did, and it was a good job by the doctors making that call.
Yeah. And you and I texted during the game right after that option play. And he got hurt last year. QB sneaks. We don't run QB sneaks anymore because of that fluke injury that no one's ever seen before off a QB sneak. But yet we're running these option plays, making him more susceptible to these hits. In that situation, would you have been more comfortable running a QB sneak? I mean, I know we're all scared to run QB sneaks with him because of what happened last year, but come on.
Look, the QB sneak was a freak accident, and I would have rather ran a QB sneak at any time as opposed to running something like that, an option. Because what you see like during the option is when you take away the pitch man, all of a sudden all you had to do was just tee off on the quarterback. Yep. That's it. That's how you play it. That's how you play that play. So, to them, anytime he takes off running, I don't care. Like, if he doesn't give himself up, it's just a bad situation to try to put him in. So, yeah, man. Quarterback sneak without a doubt. I don't know why we're not running quarterback sneaks. It's just like, oh, okay, freak play. Things that happen, but yeah, man, we're gonna put him in the option. Oh Lord, like, jeez, okay, that's don't understand it. It's a bad call.
Did you think the hit was dirty?
No,
you didn't think so.
No, because it was like Patrick was trying to get away. The guys just tackle him. That's what I was saying. Like, when you come in, they're trying to, of course, make the tackle. Ain't like he really tried to go after his neck and just pull him down. He's just trying to do his job defensively. So, this is football, man. You try to get a guy down as much, as as efficient as possible.
Mm.
So it's part of it. And Patrick tried to get away, but he couldn't.
Mm.
And that's why it was just a freak way of just getting tackled and pulled in and stuff like that, man. These things happen, man. They do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was dirty at all. No, not a dirty play.
Yeah, because Patrick's mother and the player actually got into a little back and forth on Twitter. She said it was a dirty hit, and then he said, "I'm sorry, I'm just trying to tackle Patrick. It wasn't meant to be dirty." And then they apologized to each other, and it was all lollipops and roses after that. But as far as the concussion, I know you you retired before the whole like emphasis on concussion protocol and all this stuff, the blue tent and all that. But is it weird for a guy to be taken out of a game for concussion protocol to not be deemed out with the concussion and this to be kind of so much mystery on this injury? Do the teams have to disclose this, or do they not have to disclose what the injury is? I mean, the whole thing seems very weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a new era in itself, and they necessarily don't have to disclose it. Right. I mean, it's just pretty much, their priority as far as like what they want to do.
Right.
As far as like giving out, the information, if it's forthcoming or not, it's like, hey, listen, you know what, right now, we're still evaluating, see what's going on. Because you just don't really want to, let people speculate, what's happening, or at least be like, oh, yeah, this was it. No. So it's totally different from my day. They used to say like all the time, when a guy got the dings, the little birdies around his head, they was always like, how many fingers are you holding up? It was always, the answer was 2, right? 2. Okay, you're good. Go ahead and go back in. But now, yeah, they got the tent, just going in. And then and a lot of it is just kind of protecting, the player and just making everything, just kind of hush, right?
Mm. Yeah, when I talk about hits and stuff, I always tell people that I graduated in 2012, and I guess 2012 was the last kind of year of like, I think, 'cause I hear stories now of what they go through with concussions and the different kind of stuff, the baseline test before the season. We did all that, but the worst hit I ever received, it was during a game, and I was a slot receiver. I was a small guy, so I kind of had this little chip on my shoulder, so I always want to get up faster than the defender if I got tackled and stuff. I wanted, like, you didn't do anything, right? I got roughed up on this one play. I get up and I don't know. I'm like I can't control where my body's going. I'm standing up, and I stood up faster than I should have probably. And I never went to the doctor, the team doctor, and say, "Oh, my bell was wrong." But I'm walking towards the defense. It's like second down. Our offense is right here, all in the huddle, but I'm walking towards the defense. I can't really control where I'm going. I'm walking towards defense. And I finally catch myself. I'm like, shoot. I'm like, the sideline's gonna think I'm messed up. The fact I'm like walking this way right now, or they think I'm gonna try to get into some fight with the other team. But I finally catch myself about like 7 yards into me walking to defense. I go up to some random dude to play it off. I'm like, hey man, good hit. Tapped him on the helmet. Wasn't the guy who tackled me. I go back to my huddle, and my guys, my team, they don't even know anything. But coaches didn't see a thing of it. My bell was rung big time. I got to it was a run play. On that play, I remember just getting to the line, just keep my feet set, and I didn't explode off the ball in that play. But I just remember that when I try to play it off. But nowadays, just based on what we know about concussions and head injuries and stuff, it's a different age now. Just compared to even when I played high school football, and so I can't imagine what it's like when you see these things. I'm sure you see tackles, and you're like, that guy's all right, get him back in there.
Yeah, no, we used to call it like missing time. Or just like I said, just get a little, little ding here and there, right? Get your bell rung a little bit.
Yeah.
So I remember, I'll tell this quick one. I remember one time I hit this guy, and my whole left side of my face went numb, and I couldn't even see out of my eye. And I went to my coach, like, "Hey, coach, I can't see out of my eye," and stuff like that. He said, "Let me see." He took some water and squirted some water like in my eye and rubbed it. He was like, "All right, get back in there." And I'm like, "What?" Like, my whole side of my face is numb. I can't even see. And he's thinking like I had dirt in it or something. So I don't know. It's almost like when your mom gets you up and you're a kid and you're crying like, "Yeah, well, get up. You're okay. Don't worry about it." And you go back in and you're like, "I guess I'm all right." Yeah. Totally different era, brother. Totally different era.
Yeah, it's just it's interesting just seeing and I think talk about being transparent. I think that some of the stuff I'm seeing online is these Buffalo fans think it's BS. Like, oh, he's in a concussion. He has a concussion. They're not saying it's a concussion because they know if he has a concussion, he's not going to play this weekend. But the thing is, an independent doctor is going to come in tomorrow, I think, and they're going to evaluate him. Has nothing to do with the NFL. They said that the hard part in this is finding a doctor who doesn't know who Patrick Mahomes is, doesn't know the AFC Championship game's going on. I mean, how independent is this guy going to be? Hope he's not a Bills fan. I mean, I think that's the only thing.
Right. Yeah. Don't get it from New York up that way. No, you had to talk about, man, it's integrity, right? I mean, the doctor's going to come in and he's going to do, the fair thing and fair assessment. But also, too, I mean, the doctors in Kansas City I know those guys. And all the guys are there when I played. Dr. Monaco, those guys, man, do a tremendous job. And they'll never put a guy in harm. They won't. So they have a great staff, but they absolutely take care of, those guys and the players. Now, like I said, I know they will never do anything that's going to put them in harm's way. And they're going to do what's best for the player, regardless of it. And I will say that, to be honest with you, that's just a testament to the organization in itself. So, that's what, the Hunt family stands for, the Chiefs stand for, and they're going to do things as fair. So, yeah, I think, everything should be fine.
Yeah, and I think, seeing him on the practice field today with the helmet on, yesterday he was on the practice field. So I think they wouldn't they wouldn't be allowing him to wear a helmet and practice with the team if he wasn't all good to go. So I think, I think he just got his bell rung,
Yeah, well, the Bills are hoping. They're hoping he's got to get cut. They're hoping for it because they know that chance, for them winning the game, started to slip away.
Yep. Day
by day. So keep hoping.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, I'm the fans are a different animal. They want to get by. They want to get to the Super Bowl. They haven't tasted this since the early '90s. But like the team, the Buffalo Bills, forget the fact that, they hope Patrick's okay. They want to play the Chiefs at their best. They don't want to play the Chiefs with Chad Henne. They want to play, the Chiefs at their best. I mean, is that as a player, I mean, you want to play against the best of the best. You don't want to play against a freebie, right?
Look, if a guy's down, listen, that's just part of the game. If he didn't play, like, woo, thank God. I mean, obviously you want to compete, right?
Right.
Well, all the other guys are not going to just give up, because he's down. But also too, it's easier road, and so it's always going to be tough to travel for one, get out there to Kansas City, and if you got a guy down, you do hope he's okay.
Right.
It works in your favor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who it is, man. Anytime you see a guy that's down, that ultimately could kill you in the football game.
Right.
Hey, you know what? I'm not too upset with him not playing. For real, man. Hey, let's just be honest. So we're talking with the championship. How we win, doesn't matter. As long as we got the W, that's what matters. And winning this championship, if it doesn't, then so be it. Hey, Patrick will able to play. Fine. Okay.
That's, I mean, yeah. It's you play with what hand you're given. You got to go with it. So I'm sure they'll take any advantage. They hope he's okay, but I'm sure they'll take any advantage.
Hey, hope he's okay. But hey, if you don't play, man, I'm not gonna worry about it at all. I know it's how they feel it. But.
All right. So next topic. So we're talking about possibly. They hope Mahomes doesn't play, but what are obviously he's probably going to play, knock on wood here, but what are the biggest keys to victory outside of Mahomes not playing this weekend for the Buffalo Bills?
Man, keys to victory. When you're talking about for Buffalo in itself.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? If they can stop the offense, which I don't see him doing. Because now I'm thinking, Sammy's going to be back this week too, right?
Yeah, Sammy and CEH.
So we talking about, man, a full deck.
Yep.
So, here you was hoping that the main guys out. We getting two studs back.
Yeah.
So we should be firing all cylinders. If you could stop that offense, that'll give them a chance and opportunity. And then as far as defensively, you had to be an effective runner, kind of up in the passing game. But you got to Diggs got to have a huge game. Beasley got to have a huge game, and they've done a tremendous job this whole entire week. But also, too, I think if you just keep Josh Allen and don't keep him in the pocket and getting pressure on him, that'll work in their favor, too. We talking about a big quarterback that's got good speed, who's athletic, who has a big arm. He's been playing lights out, too, man. He's been playing tremendous football. So I think if they play mistake-free football, defense does a great job stopping the offense. And then offensively for them, if they're able to get the running game going and then, of course, get Diggs and Beasley have a huge game, then they'll have a great opportunity to win the game. But all the things I've said, I think the Chiefs have an advantage offensively. And then defensively, I think, Spags going to put something together, kind of, come after Josh Allen. I mean, I think you had to bring the pressure to him. Then you got to do something kind of underneath, to stop the quick routes, Diggs and then Beasley too. So.
And I think it was either you or Eric, I forget who mentioned it on the show a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Buffalo being a threat. I think it was end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Someone brought up a great point. I forgot who it was. I know you guys always bring up great points, but this was when we played Buffalo. We didn't have Le'Veon yet, and that was the week that our passing game we didn't really need a passing game that week. I mean, CEH had 161 yards rushing, and so we beat them with not the strength of our offense. Patrick, I think he broke a sweat that game. I think he threw like 21 times. I think the lowest of the year actually in that game. Now, when we beat them by 9 points, 2 possessions, when we barely threw the ball, and we didn't have Sammy that game either. What does that kind of strike to you? I mean, does that strike like, something's going to happen now? Like, the fact that we won this game without our passing game, then we come into this game. What does that tell you?
So, we were kind of talking before. Not Eric was the one that made that assessment about the game. So you don't have CEH, right? Which was your guy then,
right?
That rushed for how many yards was it?
I think 161 if I remember correctly.
161, right? So now you don't have him, but Buffalo's defense is their quicker defense, smaller, so really athletic, kind of get out there. You could still probably run the ball effectively, but now because you have all these other weapons out around you, and if you do have that, then it doesn't hurt us because sometimes when teams become one-dimensional passing the ball, that's not their forte. Right. Well, it just happened to be our forte in Kansas City, of passing the football. So it's not like, we're going to be hurt because if the running game doesn't work well. Well, then we just go back to what we do best, what we do better than anybody else in the league is pass the football, get guys open. And so I think, when you have that advantage with the guys around you, then it doesn't hinder you, especially if the running game doesn't, is not as effective as it was the first game. So I think that point that in itself works well in our favor. But if you're trying to lean on the running game, which we just haven't had a great running game in the past few weeks, serviceable, yeah, but nobody's hit 160 since then. Like, just have it, So, hey, I just think we do a better job just matching up against them defensively, and you're just not going to be able to stop, the weapons that we have around us, So.
Yeah, and I think this week having Sammy back, which we didn't have that game, who's our move the chains guy, our possession receiver, and the CEH practice in full today. Le'Veon Bell missed practice today, so is CEH going to get the full load with that? Not the full load because Darrell Williams looks like he's looking like he's got a little Priest Holmes in him.
Yeah, man, he does. He's impressive back there. So the thing is, you can CEH. Williams and just kind of run them back and forth, kind of 1-2 punch.
Yep.
Let them get their carries. just to keep the defense honest, right? You keep them honest. So, you do a couple of, draw plays, a couple of quick screens, things like that of that nature. That way the defense is just not sitting back in zone, hoping like, okay, well, this is what they're going to do. We're going to play underneath, and hopefully, we'll sit in the passing lanes to stop what they do. Stop Kelsey, stop Watkins, stop Tyreek. So I don't think you'd be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot to stop.
A lot to stop, man. That's a lot. That's a full plate right there. Come on now.
Okay, so we kind of talked about Darrell Williams. Our next question is the X factor of this week, the Dante Hall style. Last week was Darrell Williams and Tyrann Mathieu, where I guess, this is my opinion, they were the two X factors of last week's game. Tyrann Mathieu had an amazing game. Darrell Williams, came on strong there, being the our bell cow last week. Who's the player you're expecting to be the X factor, or the players, offense and defense? Who do you expect to see play a major role in this? Obviously, Mahomes, if he plays, he's always going to be the X factor. But outside of that, who do you see kind of being the X factor in this one on offense and then on defense?
I'm gonna say this, pretty interesting. Sammy Watkins. And here's why: because he used to be up here in Buffalo.
Yeah,
he was a first round pick for him, right? And so almost this might be like that one revenge game. He's getting back like, look, you know what? Hey, I used to be here. They got rid of me. Guess what? Wait till you get a load of me out here, right? With this arm and this guy, right? So I think he might be the X factor. He might be like, coming out with a vengeance. Maybe that's what he was just waiting on. You just, look, you know what?
He's been resting for it.
He's been resting for it. Sitting over just doing extra push-ups. It's just, they got rid of me. I can't believe this. So hopefully, man, it breeds a little bit of that competition, just that fight and the tenacious, give to just come in and just destroy this team. So I think, man, he might be the X factor this week. Defensively, I don't know why it seemed like Breland didn't have a good game to me last week. So
he exited early with the concussion.
That's right. That's right.
And he's still in the protocol as well.
Yeah. So, we got the corners. Got to be they got to come up tough this week. They got to come up tough. So that's going to be key. And also too, man, we have to look at the pass rush this week. Be the X factor. Yeah. Because you want to keep Josh Allen in the pocket. All right, big guys up front. Jones and them guys are going to be able to kind of stuff the inside guys. But the pass rush on the outside, I think, might be an X factor to get to him. And here's the thing, because when Josh Allen's throwing the football, he's long and he has this wind up. It's so a lot of guys get there just swatting the ball, just getting their arm on it, and it's a big surface to work with. He's a huge guy.
Big boy.
So that's the thing about it. Like with smaller quarterbacks, you kind of get around and try to reach, but long guy like that, he just reach out there and just touch his body, and that's what. You kind of looking for these guys to do. So that's the two. Sammy Watkins, cornerbacks, and defensive ends this week.
And I hope we see Frank Clark get some passers. And that's the thing. Last year, Sammy Watkins, playoffs, he was spectacular. He missed a lot of games during the regular season. And that's kind of been his whole MO over his career. He misses a lot of games for whether hamstring injuries or whatnot. Came on strong in the playoffs. We haven't seen him yet this week. Grudge match against his old squad, so that could be something there. And then on the opposite side, you talk about the pass rush. Frank Clark, 6 sacks in the regular season. Hasn't really lived up to the contract that he was given. However, and last week I think you and I talked about he was getting blocked by Rashard Higgins. I mean, come on, you can't be letting that happen to you. I mean,
yeah, I think he kind of went inside. I'm like, why? What? Like, why would you go inside on this guy? Stay outside on one of the plays, but yeah, he's got to come up big.
Yeah.
What's his Dannon? He's got to come up too. And I think they'll have a good game this week. I really do. So it's about time. It's time for him to show up.
And I think what I saw, we pressured him. We got to him. QB pressured him 9 times last time we played. So if that keeps up, that was in Buffalo too. So
yeah.
All right, so
those guys on those bookends get a little stiff, man, during the cold weather. So
yeah. Well, also, Chris Jones had an amazing game last week. I think that was all. It was between him for me, it was between him or Matthew as far as with the best game on defense. Chris Jones, I mean, say what we want if Frank Clark hasn't had a good season, but Chris Jones is worth every penny that he got this offseason.
Always spectacular, man. He does a great job. I mean, he's such a big guy, but he when we talking about, offensively, the guards and the centers always trying to set, the depth of the pocket.
Right.
He's crushing that. I mean, you can just feel the pressure coming up from him, man. He does a great job every week. I love watching him. Because you know what you're going to get from him every week. You do.
Mm-hmm. And he provides that, like, that boost and like that energy. I mean, you see him on sidelines, singing the songs, dancing, even before plays. So he gives that whole boost, that jolt that the defense needs. So yeah, I see him. I could see him having a big day and seeing how our defense going the way he goes this weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So hopefully that happens. And now we're getting to my favorite portion of the show is the predictions, the game picks. So first we're going to start off on the NFC. So I want to hear, I know you had a prediction earlier on the season and that team is still in. And the team I actually put money on before the season was Green Bay. So we got Green Bay, a 3.5-point favorite against Tampa Bay. And I got to say this, I think the Ted Thompson news earlier might provide a even added jolt for Green Bay, especially Aaron Rodgers, the guy who drafted him, to want to win one for Ted Thompson.
You know what? I'm going to go with 24-21. And I'm going with Tampa Bay winning it.
Ooh, you sticking to it.
Sticking to it, man. I'm sticking to it. I just, you know what? I lost a bet last week with Devontae Adams. Okay, not getting 80 yards, so I had to say it. Bend most money over.
It was looking promising too at the beginning of that game.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. He got the tub on him, and it just, I don't know, man. I watched the 50 just float away like it float away. But yeah, I'm looking 24-21. I don't think it's going to be a lot of points. But of course, I think running game is going to be a factor for both teams. Because it's just cold and the guys on the outside may not do as well as we think they will. So it's going to be one of those kind of grueling, drawn out, hard games on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a great game. Great game. I can't wait to see it. But I see 24-21. That's what I'm looking at right now. And I think Tampa Bay will pull it out. Time, man. Time is time, man. He's going to do it again, man. He's going to do it again. So we'll see.
And it's supposed to snow. They're expecting snow. I haven't looked at the update. I looked at it yesterday. They're expecting snow in that. Do you think that affect? I mean, everyone forgets Brady played in New England and Massachusetts, but he may be accustomed and acclimated to the warm weather he was getting down in Tampa. Do you think that plays a role or no?
No, man. He's got that cold weather in his blood, man. He's got ice in his veins. Tom does, man, during this time. He's just like, man, I want it to snow. He's probably asking for it. So, I mean, he's got two guys on offense that's played in that. So you got Gronk, of course, and then AB, right? Now, AB, he's going to play. I know he kind of nicked himself. He had like a little injury on his knee, but it was two cold weather guys. Yeah. Well, to them, it don't even matter. Now, Evans and
Godwin.
Godwin. Now that might be a different story. Guys, warm blooded. So we'll see.
But the Ted Thompson aspect, does that an emotional victory? Could that be something that plays a part for Rodgers?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Just for the entire organization, and I know the entire organization just feeling it, and I'm pretty sure that now from this time on, they probably dedicate the season right to him in the Super Bowl. So that just gave him another incentive to win the game. And so they're going to come in fired up with a lot of emotion, a lot of energy, to win for him. And I know everybody in the building is feeling it. So it's going to be a factor. It's gonna be a tough, hard-fought game, man. And I think it's gonna come down. I'll tell you this. My prediction is gonna be a 3-point game. It's gonna be one off a field goal toward the end. There it is. All right. So if it ain't 24-21, it'll be. No, I'll leave it at that. 24-21. Field goal at the end. It's gonna win it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be low scoring-ish like that, just based on the weather and stuff. Yeah, so that should be a good one. I put money on the Chiefs and Packers going to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. Actually, at the time, the Packers were probably like the 8th or 9th highest team to get to the Super Bowl. I put $35 on the Chiefs and Packers to make it to the Super Bowl to win $1,700. So hopefully that happens.
Oh, okay, well, hey. Hope you win. I don't have any money on it. I don't have any dog in this fight. I just want the Chiefs to make it. So time, if you make it, not, hey, so be it.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I was telling my friend, he was like, "Why didn't you put more money on it?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like I knew that was going to be a thing. Because you put $70 on that, you'd be winning $3,200. I was like, "Yeah, I know that." I wasn't thinking. Okay, so the main event, the primetime game on Sunday, the game, Chief Concerns is all about. Our main concern, our chief concern on Sunday is this game, is the Buffalo Bills coming to Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs it's actually funny that the way the line's gone on this one. So immediately after the Chiefs game, when everyone thought Patrick was done, he had the concussion, the Buffalo Bills were a 1.5-point favorite. As soon as Andy Reid went to the podium and said that Patrick's fine, he got his bell rung or whatever, the Chiefs became a 3-point favorite. And have been a 3-point favorite all throughout the week. And they've stayed that way. So what are your predictions there, JD?
Hard-fought game. I think it's going to be 28-24. That's my prediction. So offense, like I said, is still going to score points. Buffalo's going to give them a hard-fought game. Not going to give it up. They're going to give it away. But I think they're going to come out on top, 28-24.
Now, as far we know the Chiefs play, is it going to be one of those games where we take an early lead and just stay put and kind of Buffalo battles back, or is it a game Patrick was down 24-21 and scores a touchdown at the end of the game?
I think it's what it's going to be. I think they may come back and it's going to be 21-all, kick a field goal, 24-21, and then we're going to come down and actually score. They'll get the ball back. 28-24. They know they got to go down and score and do a touchdown. And it's not going to happen. So
you're going to give me a heart attack on Sunday night.
Yeah, man, there it is. I know it's going to be tough. Sunday night's going to be tough for us. It is. It's going to be a long, long day.
That's what I felt like last Sunday. Were you get off of your couch and jumping up when you saw Henny do that run?
Yeah, I was. I was like, yeah, because as soon as he took off, I'm like, go. And I'm just, he's a bigger guy. I'm just like, there you go, lay into it. And so, man, I got up and we just, just so elated and just, screaming and like, yeah, just, and we just a little short. But then you kill me when I get under center. I mean, what are they doing? I'm like, oh my God, like what 4th and inches? Run the quarterback sneak. You're not worried about this guy getting hurt.
Yeah.
Seriously, go on, run it. Quarterback sneak. And so, look, hats off to him because that was a hell of a call. I didn't expect that at all. But it's such a great play that they run because Tyreek is just step and going straight out. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's so it's a play that is kind of is a very play that everybody kind of runs, where that guy is getting the first down is just in the end zone. It's just like a quick little out. But they've changed it up a little bit just to get the first down, and it's effective. The only way that you stop that play, the only way, is if you have that corner come all the way down, okay, to hit that guy going to the out. That's it. That's the only way you're gonna be able to stop that. Or unless you out leverage the receiver,
right?
You're giving up, the slants on the inside. So I mean, it's such a great play. You can't play outside leverage because then you run the football, right? Yeah. So great play on Andy's part, man. I didn't see that coming at all. Not at all. Perfect.
Even Romo was like screaming like a little kid watching that.
Yeah. Look, that was ballsy. That was absolutely ballsy.
Yeah.
You know, Andy was like, look, I'm just going to lay these things right here, right now. Okay. Take them out. Okay. You jokers have it. So.
Well, the thing was, I don't think you and me sitting at home, we didn't think they were going to call hike. Cleveland didn't. If you look at the guy who's guarding Tyreek, as soon as that play breaks, you see he's flat-footed. All those guys are flat-footed on that play. No one thought they were calling hike.
Right. Trying to draw them off sides, and of course it's like, look, don't jump off sides, don't jump off sides, especially if you're in shotgun.
Yep.
Right. Only thing I could think of is if all of a sudden toward the end he just runs up to the line of scrimmage, you know, catch the ball and just go. But
right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, man, maybe that's what they're doing, and just punt it.
Yeah.
Let Baker come down the field. So.
All right. Well, okay. So now we're going to go to our second to last segment. Usually it's our last segment of the night, but we'll have a little surprise for you guys after our Twitter segment. So our second to last segment is our Chief Concern segment, where I look at some of the Chief Kingdom hot takes out there and let our guys respond to them. So our first one tonight. So JD, you get two tonight. You get two tweets to respond to. So the first one comes from @NFL Research. They tweeted the Chiefs will host the AFC Championship game for the third straight season. The Chiefs joined the 2002-2004 Philadelphia Eagles, also coached by Andy Reid, as the only teams to host 3 straight conference championships. Jason, you played with Andy Reid for a year. What is your response to that one? Just being able to play with a guy, this offensive genius as Andy Reid is.
You know what, man? It just talks about how it speaks of what type of coach he really is. He's a player's coach, and he really takes care of the guys. The guys understand him. They really want to play for him and win for him. So a lot of the guys that I played with up there in Philly, like Dawkins and Trotter and Bobby Taylor, and all those guys, man, and Donovan McNabb, those guys understand and just love Andy, and they loved him back. And so, during that time, it was always just that love and embracing of having a coach that has your back, that loves you, takes care of you. So you want to do the same for him. So same thing out here in Kansas City. Andy comes in, and sometimes when you have a new coach, some things are contentious by some guys. But Andy comes in, man, with a disposition of just like, hey, you know what? Hey, look. This is your team. It's not my team. This is your team. I'm just here to help you get to where you need to get to. Those guys like, man, they embraced that. So he embraced them, and it just fell into, the whole air of the Chiefs kingdom, and, them loving him, and everybody just, loves what Andy does, man. He's a good guy, a great coach, and, very well respected. All the players, guys that played under him. And I have to say, man, I take my hat off to Andy, man. He's just a tremendous dude. He really is. But it's just a testament to, his information, his knowledge of the game. It really is. So it's great. Hopefully we'll have more than just these 3.
Yeah.
Push even more from here. So
and hopefully for his resume, body of work, I know going 3 back-to-back, he's only got 6 back-to-back championships in general. He's only got 1 Super Bowl ring to speak to speak for it. So hopefully he gets another one this year to go 2 out of 6. And also I think it shows a testament of him, a player coach, how many guys he's gotten from the teams he's coached to become coaches. You got to talk about Doug Peterson, Mike Kafka, Deuce Staley. I know Coach Bieniemy. I mean, there's so many guys out there that he's brought on to become coaches. So it speaks to how good of a guy he is in getting people into the game. All right, so our next one comes from @Chiefs Highlights, which is probably one of my favorite accounts on Twitter. They're always showing old school highlights. And I'm starting to get into that, getting clips of you guys out there. So, but okay, so they tweeted a video of Josh Norman on Rich Eisen's show, talking about the game. Now, the video clip just goes on to show that he says, quote, "Who's better than Allen and Diggs?" Talking about that receiver and QB combination. And then he goes on to say that he will be following and trailing Tyreek Hill and covering Tyreek Hill one-on-one throughout the game. Jason, what is your response to that one?
As far as like, okay, what's the question in itself? What is like?
Do you agree that he thinks that Josh Allen Diggs is the best QB wide receiver combination? And what are your thoughts on him trailing and shadowing Tyreek Hill on Sunday?
They're a great duo. They really are, and have great chemistry. But they're one of the best. I wouldn't put them up as the best, but they are definitely one of the best in the league right now. No doubt about it. I think right now the most dynamic, as far as, I don't even want to say the best, but there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, man, been killing it all year. They really have. And then Tyreek and Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick got a lot of guys to throw to, right? So Same thing like down there in Tampa.
Kyler Murray and Hopkins, another one too.
And Hoptown, yeah, no doubt. So they're good. He's supposed to say they're the best, of course, right? That's what he's supposed to say. Him trailing Tyreek Hill the whole game. I tell you what, he better bring his lunch pail. I'm telling you, because you're talking about a burner that runs great routes. I mean, just make guys just miss. He better be ready. He better eat his Wheaties. Wheaties, and start getting some other things in his body. Maybe meditate a little bit. Get his mind right. But he better come in with a warrior mentality if he's thinking about stopping Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I don't see that being possible. And Tyreek, man, he'll expose you. He'll expose you. You don't have to talk about it now. He'll do it out there on the field. So, You know what? Maybe eat the words. Yeah, you trailing him all right. That's what you're gonna be doing all game, trailing him. So watching the knife from the back, on the bottom of the shoes. So yeah. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see.
And this isn't the Josh Dorman from years past. He's still a solid cornerback in the league, but he's not Josh Dorman of the Panthers a couple of years ago. It's a different guy.
Listen, look, when you get a little older, sometimes your mouth got to work for you, right? When your body couldn't do it, so you still talk a good game, like So hopefully, put some of the guys here, but like, oh no, I'm watching it work. Physically, not the same guy, right? So sometimes you just got to use your mouth to talk yourself into it. So it's part of it. It's part of the deal.
All right, so that does it for our Twitter segment. All right, so now we're going to go to we're testing it out. When the season's over, Jason, Eric, and I are going to be fielding more calls from our fans to ask questions from you all. And we have our first guest on tonight. We have Stuart Sauceman on the line right now. Stuart, thanks for calling in, man.
You're welcome. Yeah, so I had two questions, if I could do a two-part one.
Go for it.
I was wondering if Patrick Mahomes isn't able to play this weekend, how do you think the Chiefs will fare in the playoff game on Sunday? How do you think they'll do against the Buffalo Bills? Even though they have a high-powered team, it still pretty much revolves around Mahomes. And then my second question, real quick, is I live down here, Clearwater Beach, only 20 minutes outside of Tampa, and the Super Bowl, of course, is being held there. And from what I understand, they aren't going to let that many fans into the game because of the coronavirus, and I don't think they're going to allow tailgating. And I also, from what I heard, they're not going to have a lot of the outside parties and festivities. They had bands and all that stuff all the time up here on the beach and by the stadium. Do you think if Kansas City makes the Super Bowl, will there still be a big fan base wanting to come to Tampa from Kansas City if all that stuff is canceled?
Okay. Shoot, thanks for those questions. Two very good questions. So the first one, I'll tackle this. And it's going to be very important for guys to rally around everybody else, defensively and offensively, to come together. Come and if Chad happens to be the one at the helm, just get behind him and support him as much as possible. They got to do their part of getting open, running the football, just making big targets, and being available when he needs them. And Chad has to do his job too with getting the ball out of his hands. Which Chad he's a good quarterback. I don't take anything away from him. This is kind of fairly new as far as being in the playoffs, but I think the Chiefs will fare well with him, and I think also too, if Patrick is down, that's a motivating factor for them to do well in the game. And I think you'll get that from the fans, you get that from the team, and these guys be like, look, we're gonna win this for Patrick. So that gives them a little bit more spunk, a little bit more incentive, just to kind of win the game and play a little bit harder, play with a little bit more energy if they don't have their general at hand. And so, I think that they'll do a good job. And I think, I'm always going to say that they'll win. It'll be a tougher road for them, no doubt. But I think the defense will step up. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu on the other side, the landlord will change some things up. I think he'll come out. Chris Jones, another one, will get into the defense, but like, hey man, we got to do this. Sorensen, same thing. Everybody's going to step their game up, just a little bit more, to carry this through. So I think they'll do a great job. It'll be a tougher road for them, but I still think that the advantage is playing in Kansas City, and then of course him being out, guys rallying together to try to win it for Patrick during this time. Is the second question. Will the Chiefs travel, with them having a coronavirus, not doing the festivities and whatnot out there for the game? And do you think that they'll still bring their fan base? I'll tell you what, man, the Chiefs do travel. And one thing is I do know this also, man, there's a lot of Chiefs fans all around the country that you just didn't quite know was there. So I know like Florida's like one of the transient states where everybody comes from everywhere. So I'm sure you got a lot of Chiefs fans that will be at the game. And they just, people are just NFL fans, period. They want to come see Patrick Mahomes play. They want to come see these guys go out here and go do it. And just, even if you don't have all the hoopla and all the parties and whatnot around it, the ambiance of just having, the Super Bowl there in Tampa, because it's still going to be warm, right? That's another thing. It's going to be a warm place, warm environment. So people look for a vacation. But also, too, they'll find something to do. Even wearing masks, they'll find something to do. And I think that even like you don't have the tailgating, people still get together, tailgate somewhere. So even it has to be down like where you said you are in Clearwater, or right there in Tampa. People still going to get together and still try to do like tailgating just with their own little family and whatnot. But the ambiance of just having the Super Bowl, regardless of where it is, changes things. And thank God it's just somewhere that is warm. Now, if it was somewhere colder, now you might not have as good of a crowd. But I think, it being this year, being in Tampa, that you'll have a good amount of people just around. So hopefully everybody stays safe. But I think, the Chiefs definitely travel well. But you also have some people down from that area, surrounding states that will get there for the game too. So yeah, appreciate the question, Stu. Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Stu.
Do you have another question?
Oh, no, you answered it good. I was just going to say about the warm weather climate, that probably will bring people here. The other thing, I don't know, since the Super Bowl, I do have one last question. Since the Buccaneers are another team that might make the Super Bowl, what team do you think the Chiefs would stand up better against, the Packers or the Buccaneers? If they had to play one of the two, which one do you think the Chiefs match up better with?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. You know what? I think I think they match up better against Green Bay than they do Tampa. And Tampa, they have a good defense. They got a lot of weapons around them. I think Green Bay, you stop the run, and then you stop Devontae Adams and Scantling and who's Lazard. Oh, they got Toya too, the tight end. They do a good job, but I think if it comes down to like scoring points, I do believe that the Chiefs would do a better job scoring points against Green Bay than they would against Tampa. And the only reason I say that is because Tom has. I'll go to Tom, just kind of managing the game, and it's always that magic. I don't know what it is. I'm not really a big Tom Brady fan, but I know this guy. He just has something about it. He does. And so he does a great job, man, as far as like managing the game, getting guys around him, rallying around him. And then, of course, being down in Tampa, too. I mean, they'd be the hometown team. So the whole city will be leaning in on Kansas City. So that'd be really, really, really tough. But I think Chiefs will win either way, regardless of what team they play. All right? Okay. Thanks, Stu. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think with that question he asked about, I think, just knowing the politics of Governor DeSantis in Florida, I think that a couple months ago he said he wanted everything to be open up for the Super Bowl. He wanted to have a packed stadium. I don't know if he's going to get a packed stadium, but I think just based on what I know about, Florida's lax laws when it comes to COVID, I think Black fans will take the chance to go see their team in the Super Bowl, whether it is packed house or not. So I would see that she's traveling for that to take the chance on it. And I hope whoever does do it, I hope they, wear their masks. I know the NFL will make sure they do the proper protocols on that. But yeah, just knowing what I know about Florida and that governor, I think we'll have an abundance of fans there, whether it's the right thing or not. I just think that's what's going to be.
I do too. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, and the thing is, and I think people, will at least use some common sense, right?
Yep.
So instead of like getting packed everywhere, it's like, look, let's just try to find a little area for ourselves and go certain places and just kind of get away. But also too, still knowing this thing is out here, just still deadly.
Yeah.
You got to take into account, like, is it really worth your grandmother, grandfather's life, right, or other people around you, or you getting sick in itself? So
yeah.
Regardless of whatever happens, I just hope everybody, use common sense and be safe. And, just take care of one another.
Yeah. That's, it's a simple ask. Hopefully people, even if their team gets to the Super Bowl, hopefully they do that. They take care of themselves and the others around them.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your neighbors.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that does it for the conference championship episode. It was pretty, we missed Eric, but we implemented a little different thing on the show. Hopefully to implement that more when the season's over. And we want to fill the show with different questions from our fans out there about the offseason and other acquisitions that we'll have later on. So we'll see you next week where we kind of discuss the aftermath of championship weekend and begin the first week of the Super Bowl preview. It's going to be 2 weeks of previewing for the show. And just based on what I know from what Eric's telling me, what Jason's telling me, we're going to have some good guests lined up with the next 2 weeks. So very excited about that. Very excited. But if anyone has any Chiefs Kingdom, has any Chief concerns for these guys, please tweet at us at Concerns Chief, and please subscribe, follow Chief Concerns on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Jason, love you, brother.
Love you too, my man.